And side check. Hello everyone. Hoping that everyone can hear me well, okay? So, my name is Puteri Fatin Syamimi Binti Afizam, and I will present to you guys about my article review regarding ethical behavior that actually happened in the banking industry. So, are you guys ready? Let's start. So, before I start, let me give you a rough idea. What is the main thing that I will discuss in this video? So, in this video, I will present the finding, analysis, commentary, and my opinion from the article that I have chosen. That will be the overall structure of my video presentation. Ethical behavior and banking industry. Can you guys guess what the topic that I will discuss for this article review? I think that all of you got an idea on what topic that I will present later. So, let's straight to the point. The topic of my article chosen is about banking culture encourage dishonesty that have been selected from Scientific American article. You guys know what? I found that there are several issues that happen in the banking industry which lead to dishonesty, especially between the employees or managers of the company itself. Before that, do you guys know what is meant by banking culture? Okay, basically, banking culture is more than just a set of guidelines which define the organization's ethical behavior and also known as the critical element that need to be addressed in order to fix the mistrust that affect the industry and individual banks. It is not only determine the effectiveness of compensation in influencing employees' behavior, but it can also encourage employees to work in a manner consistent with the stated values of the organizations. By shaping behavior, culture can be used to influence people throughout the bank to ensure their actions are consistent with the bank values, requirements, and guidelines. However, the reputation and industry trust would be impaired by a bank with a poor or undesirable culture. According to this article, banking industry is one of the financial sectors that have been suffered significant costs from the financial meltdown. This is because of a certain issues that faced by the banking industry between interest rate manipulation and fraudulent deals. Therefore, some individuals have pointed their fingers at bank and bankers, but recent research from this article found that one major factor in the banking culture itself may hide the truth elsewhere and have found that the financial sector culture encourages dishonesty. This is an important finding as it indicates that having the right culture will start with good behavior. As I mentioned earlier, the banking culture will lead to dishonesty behavior. From the article that I have reviewed, there are several issues mentioned by the author which encourage dishonesty in the banking culture. For the first issue that I have been identified in this article is the recent surge of problematic financial practices and scandals involving fraud. The research published in Nature also indicates that trust and confidence in the financial industry have been undermined by numerous scandals that involving fraud. This issue has caused serious economic disruption, which could threaten the reputation and viability of banks and the financial industry as a whole. Although the professional identity of the bank employees is rendered salient, a large proportion of them would become dishonesty. Besides, another issue in this article is about coin tossing that has described by the author for bank employees. The employees of a large bank were split into two groups. The first group was primed to think about their professional identity, while the second group completed a survey on their well-being and daily life that did not consist of questions about their professional identity. During the activity of coin tossing, one of the group of them act honestly, but nevertheless still have cheated for those whose professional identity was primed. After the virtual coin has been flipped, they need to report their result online to claim some victory. Referring to the author, they also conduct the same experiment of coin tossing to the other industries, but they did not notice the same skewing when employees were primed to think about their job. Furthermore, the author also highlights the fact that the business culture existing in the banking industry would damage the honesty norm. It is important to reboot an honest culture in the banking industry because when people think more about money, it will lead them to have an unethical behavior such as to be less helpful, to be less fair in their dealings with others, and to be less work harder towards personal goals. In addition, individuals who involve with a lot of number crunching is also be the major issue in the banking culture that encourage dishonesty. According to the article, even basic math calculation also can increase the probability of people to act selfish and unethical behavior in the banking industry. This is because the author found that the number of crunching put people in a calculative mindset. However, the term that related to number crunching shows that it will lead to unintended consequences during the decision-making approach by the organizations. So, now let's move to the solution and recommendation that have been suggested by the author itself for this issue to ensure the employees conduct good behavior in the company or organizations. Firstly, the solution that I have identified in this article is the author's research indicates that in order to having the right culture, the company need to start a good conduct, which means all of the upper and senior management of the company, such as finance CEOs, need to change cultural norms so that all banks level in the financial industry can be a good model of behavior because it is a key component of the long-term performance of companies. Secondly, most of the banks should aim for a fundamental change in the overall mindset on culture. It means that the banks should shift the implementation approach to the problem because it is vital in order to ensure the sustainability of the company. This should be managed by bank and overseen by board as a permanent priority. Bank also should look to achieve consistent behavior and conduct aligned with firm values and should be open to constructive internally challenge as key to strategic success. Nevertheless, the author also have the recommendation on the issues which encourage dishonesty in banking culture. Firstly, the important thing that can remind people to act in a good behavior is self-reflection. This can be shown by the author's research which demonstrate that people will influence to care about their time rather than money. Thinking about time create more self-reflection than money. In this article, the author also found that thinking about time encourage people to reflect on who they are, making them more conscious on how they conduct themselves. Therefore, people who care about time rather than money will lead to less selfish. Secondly, people need to have a strong desire to be a decent person, but it may not be necessary to guarantee that our action represent the desire. We should be more aware about our action by understanding the progressive effects money can have, and we should ensure that we have the chances to stop and allow time to think about time in our busy life. So, every each of banking industry need to minimize the dishonest behavior of the bank employees to ensure that the company remains stable and have a good reputation for public image. From this issue, the researcher has identified the main cause and problem in banking culture that lead to dishonesty. The result of the research show that the bank employees are in principle not more dishonest than their colleagues in other industry. So, my comment regarding this article is business culture in banking industry implicitly favors dishonest behavior. This is because it influence of materialistic values in the financial sector and the specific norm, vision, and expectation of its business culture encourage dishonesty behavior. So, my point of view from this article, the implementation of a healthy business culture is one of the greatest importance in order to restore trust in the banking industry. This will lead the business to have a good reputation and good image in public because by having a healthy business culture, the company can develop and maintain a high level of trust towards communities. Besides, the management of the company can plan the occupational norm implicitly favors dishonest behavior. Banks should ensure that their performance management does not reward individuals in line with firms' value who do not meet a standard level of appropriate behavior. Board and senior manager needs to show that anyone who engage in fraud and violation of firm culture will face penalties in order to rebuild the trust in the public. For instance, the manager can offer to the employees by giving any reward, such as increase their salary or give them a bonus if they follow the rules of the company. Meanwhile, if some employees behave dishonestly, the manager can cut their salaries or give the punishment that will give impact to them. So, they will think wisely if they want to act dishonestly in the company. Furthermore, my opinion and suggestion to the financial industry, especially for the bank, they need to change the norm. Social norms that are necessarily problematic because the trust of individuals in the behavior of bank employees is vital for a long-term stability in the financial services industry. The company also can support by a corresponding training program ethics and appropriate financial incentive which could lead bank employees to focus more strongly on the long term. Last but not least, what can I conclude from this article is one of the key requirements for economic development in all industrialized economies and banking services is a fundamental pillar. From the issues that have been highlighted by the author, all of the issues are encourage the employees to dishonesty, which has caused to a serious economic damage. It is also should be possible to be major factors of dishonesty in the bank and employees by rendering their professional identity salient. However, a strong bank culture can influence the bank growth and continuously give impact to the bank employees' behavior. And a strong corporate culture can also be used to encourage trust within banks with positive implication for ethical behavior. Lastly, I hope you guys learn from this article that most of bad behaviors, especially dishonesty, will lead to the negative impact of the companies. That's all from me. Thank you for watching. Stay safe and bye. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.